you're actually more in like the sales and branding side of things, because it doesn't matter how good you are in any case, in any capacity. You could be like the best DP ever, but if 3 people know you and they don't know what you actually offer or do, and you're not clear about that, then no one's going to hire you again. Oh, just let the work speak for itself. I'm like, but if no one's even seeing the work,
can't even speak.
You can't even speak. Who's just like, it's like the whole like tree falls in the forest type thing, right? It's like no one even knows if you're amazing out there. The hard part is that no one's really coming to save you. Oh, if I just reach out to Nike DMs, I'm gonna get a job, because people tell you like, you just gotta be persistent. You're persistently messaging a bot. Yeah, and like no one's reading that stuff. If you've been wondering what it takes to create a production company, how to find clients, and how to avoid the biggest myths and mistakes that you can make that actually stops you from becoming a successful filmmaker, we're gonna tell you exactly the path in this video to show you how to avoid the mistakes that we made, how to actually find the right clients, and how to build a local roster and people around you that actually will bring you jobs and make you money. As always, we have Juanjo, our director at Tenfold, and myself, Jason. I'm the co-founder of Tenfold Production, and we shoot commercials for global brands like Nike, On, and the Toronto Raptors. And so today we're going to talk about exactly what we would do if we were just starting back out, how we would avoid all the mistakes that we've made along the way, so that you can actually get to where we are faster. And so let's dive right into it.
So I think the first thing that we should address is, what is actually the biggest difference between having a video production company versus, just working freelance, being a videographer, a solo shooter? What is the biggest difference?
Yeah, most people start as a solo shooter, a videographer. In most cases, you pick up a camera, you become that person. And then typically what happens is you kind of come to a crossroads where, okay, I can keep doing this solo thing. I'm either super tired or I'm really into it and it's working out, sure. But then there's the other path, which is I'm not getting the clients and the work that I want. And I'm seeing that all these production companies are the ones getting these larger clients. And oftentimes the biggest difference between the two is that a video production company has more leverage than a solo individual that goes out and shoots. And
well, what would you say is like the limits of being a solo videographer then?
yeah, the limits is typically you'll find them in your own capacity, because you'll realize that you go on set and you're stressed, you're doing so many things, and you can't even do better work. And that's typically the biggest thing that will jump out to you is, I can't do more. I'm capped of time, bandwidth. I can only do 1 or 2 projects a month. And you quickly come to realize that, you can't make more, and you want to make more. So then the game becomes, what's the next step?
Well, what is the next step?
The thing with becoming a production company, it's actually a choice that you make on whether or not you want to handle all that extra. It's easy to actually just become much better at an individual skill set. So here's all the different paths you can take. If you're a solo videographer and you realize that you like more of the camera side, a little bit more technical, you don't like dealing with talent as much, or maybe you don't like dealing with even client as much.
Yeah.
You can go into specializing. And so you can specialize as a DP, cinematographer, and then which means that you now have to become really strong at understanding how to lead a team, how to build a team, how to work with the cameras, lighting, become a leader. Secondarily, if you're into much more of like the storytelling, creating the ideas and creative conceptualization, stuff like that, it's like becoming a creative director, or more likely you're going to become a director, right? And so that way you're someone that doesn't actually like cameras that much. You just want to go out and actually shoot and create ideas and sell them. And then when it comes to the camera side, you have someone that you bring on, typically a DP. So there are individual paths if you feel like you don't want to run a production company. Because we have a lot of people that ask us too, oh, I'm automatically going to become a production company. It's like, that's not necessarily the number one choice, right? The production company comes with a lot of hiccups and hurdles that you have to understand. You're not just a freelancer anymore, which gives you a lot more like, you can kind of get away with a lot more stuff. A production company comes with a lot more hurdles and an understanding of how to run a business. I think a lot of people come into this space thinking that if I get good enough behind a camera, or I have the best gear out there, that you get work from that, or you get, more notoriety. But it's actually not that. And a lot of people won't realize that you're actually not in the camera filmmaking creativity game. It's something I heard from Alex Ramosi too, but it's like, you're actually more in like the sales and branding side of things. because it
Interesting.
doesn't matter how good you are in any case, in any capacity. You could be like the best DP ever, but if 3 people know you and they don't know what you actually offer or do, and you're not clear about that, then no one's going to hire you again. And so if you kind of come into this game and you're trying to run it as a business, you're not doing it as a hobby, you're trying to actually become, do this full time and all these things, it's going to be hard because you need to learn the skill of sales and branding and marketing and understanding how to run a business, because it's business first. And then secondly, you get the rest that comes with it. Because if you can't even do the easiest step of selling a project, then you realize that I don't even have an opportunity to try new things. I can't sell projects. I can't work with new people. These opportunities don't just fall in your lap, because a lot of people think you can just grind in the darkness, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you come back and you're like, here's one project, and then you disappear again. You unfortunately can't play that game anymore. That's just, it's like an old thinking of like, I think I'm going to get so good. I'm going to get so good at this that no one can touch me. There's other people out there that are getting way better jobs than you, getting paid way more money than you, and they don't even necessarily need to be better than you. And that's actually a applause to them, because they're playing the right game. And sometimes this is the hard thing to hear. You can get as good as you want, but if you don't know how to get yourself out there, talk to the right people, network, and all these real like tangible skills that you got to do, it doesn't matter,
Mm-hmm.
because you're just gonna shoot stuff in your kitchen or living room, basement, whatever it is, and you just need to play the game. Because if you don't play the game, you have no one to blame. It's like, the world is not giving me the projects that I want. Well, the person that is going out there every day, talking to the right people, putting the work out, even if it's to your standard and eyes, maybe not as good as your work, it doesn't matter, because those people don't even care about you. No one cares about you, unfortunately, until you actually show up in the right places and offer solutions and be that person that can solve problems for people that need videos, right? So, it is the harsh truth, but that's something that you need to do and understand very intimately before you ever decide to start a production company.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it's a very difficult first step to take, going from, buying a camera, learning how to use it. That's one whole skill in and of its own, right?
100%.
But this whole business aspect is something completely different. I feel like a lot of creatives, especially younger creatives, will struggle with that because you're not really taught how to run a business in schools, especially if you go to film school like I did. No one
Yeah.
taught me how to make a production company. There wasn't production company 101
Yeah.
in schools, It was how to operate this really outdated camera 101
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So, in that aspect, what do you recommend people do to take that first step into becoming more of a business owner, entrepreneur, as opposed to just being just a videographer?
In the beginning, I think the best thing you can do, especially if you're younger and this is like a new space, and maybe you're coming out of school, or you've just transitioned into the space, working for a production company, much like yourself,
Mm,
gives you a lot more insights to how things are run and how the business, instead of skipping all these steps and somehow just figuring stuff out and jumping straight to the biggest clients and jobs, it just typically doesn't work that way, right? So we've obviously done the years and years and years of being in this space, but for yourself, even coming into this, I'm sure there's a whole different perspective now and a shift of how productions run at a larger scale in terms of budget, but also just the clientele that kind of comes through and the processes that come with that.
definitely.
And I think a lot of people are super excited to start a production company, because it's almost like a glory thing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I run this production company. Um, but what the good part of having a production company is the ability to build relationships, and actually find joy in like the path that you've chosen, and then just doing more of that stuff, right? But in the beginning, there's even some form of like imposter syndrome with having a production company.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the classic, like the thing, right? It's like you go from a solo creator or a videographer. Now you have to choose almost like a direction and specializing. So are you going to become like a double down on videography? You're going to become a cinematographer, or you're going to move into directing? And then it almost feels like a natural evolution to have a production company. And a lot of people have production companies. Once you become a production company owner, your role, your creative role, instantly drops into something more like a combo role. where now you're like an EP slash the salesperson.
Mm.
Because if you're the only person at that level, then you're the only one selling for you, right? So you have to be okay with that. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. They think they can just grind it out completely, just doing more creative work. And if you don't even know to sell or maximize or position yourself properly to leverage what being a production company does for you, it can be very tricky in terms of how do I land clients? How do I do jobs at the same time as also selling projects? Because you can't just sell a project, do it forever, and then 4 months down the line, you're like, I just did a project for 3 months for $5,000, and
Now I'm broke.
I am broke and I'm very hungry, and that's like the hardest thing that people have to hear is you become a salesperson no matter what. And if you can't sell, then you're kind of screwed in all capacities, because what's the opposite of not selling? You're just sitting at home hoping for things to kind of show up for you.
Mm-hmm.
And it really is a game of, can you beat out the person beside you? And it doesn't necessarily mean it's, can I work harder? It's just working smarter and finding the right leverage points to like pull.
Mm. What are some of these leverage points then?
Yeah. So some of the biggest ones that you have to figure out is understanding your network. And if you don't have a network, it's building network, right? That network is going to be everything for you. And back to my point earlier of, if you're just sitting at home hoping that projects show up for you, just because you're never owed anything, just because you have a production company, first of all, most people won't even know you exist. If you have no visibility, or you're not outreaching, or you're not marketing or doing any advertising for it, no one's going to know you, right? I also learned this very heavy-handedly when I had like another company back in the past that wasn't even related to video, and we had a great product, and I just did no marketing, or like we just didn't really focus on that, because we thought, and you probably hear this often, it's like, oh, just let the work speak for itself. I'm like, but if no one's even seeing the work,
Can't even speak.
you can't even speak. Who's just like, it's like the whole like tree falls in the forest type thing, right? It's like, no one even knows if you're amazing out there. And so first rule is find people that care about what you're doing and speak to those people, right? So in the beginning, when we were first starting out, getting clients was kind of it's always the hardest part, right? But a lot of it came from going out there, shooting, getting better, but also meeting all these people, networking. And, there's this concept of like a red ocean, blue ocean type thing, where if you're just marketing around who you are, right? So like other filmmakers, you go into like film production companies, parties and stuff like that, you're kind of just like all shaking hands with each other. It's kind of like a circle of people that are just like, you're all struggling for the same thing.
Yeah.
And you're like, but you're not getting me jobs. Like, we're just pointing at each other like, oh, I'm glad we know each other, but are we the ones getting each other's jobs, right? You have to go to the places that exist out there that they're the people that hold the keys to the projects that you want. And so if you're not even going out to the right places, it means that you're just another fish in this pond, if you want to say it that way.
Yeah.
You have to like be the fish that walks out of the pond, crazy analogy here, and goes out and finds the right people, right? And then you can bring them back afterwards, because that's the goal here. We hope you're enjoying this conversation. If you're a filmmaker or aspiring cinematographer or director, or even just someone that's trying to start a production company, if you're struggling to sell projects or even to find the right clients, I want to invite you to the Pitch to Paid Challenge. The Pitch to Paid Challenge is a 5-day live event with myself where I teach you exactly how to find the right clients, how to position yourself, how to use leverage as a filmmaker, and ultimately how to sell and close your deals. I also want to invite you to our VIP experience, which is an extra hour every day of this challenge, where you get a chance to ask a personalized question and I will answer it. So if you're interested in the Pitch to Paid Challenge, check out the link in the description below.
Let me put your mind in a specific scenario then, and I want to see how you would approach this. If you go back to when you first started videography, you just picked up your camera and you're doing some edits here and there. If you wanted to meet more people, it might be difficult to even know where to even start, right?
Yeah.
Because you might follow other creators here and there, but they're already working and all that. You probably don't even have a lot of great work to show for it. Maybe you have some recaps here and there. Maybe you made a cool edit, a little sizzle reel, but it might not be something that's going to blow anyone away, right? So, considering all of these obstacles, how can you position yourself to be someone worth working with as another creator or even as another business who needs video services? Like, how do you position yourself when you really have not that much to work with?
Yeah. I'm going to start with this little story here, and then it'll lead into what my steps are.
Okay.
I have gone to meetings with DPs in the city. I've met DPs, directors, production company, executive producers, whatever it is. And the DPs that I meet oftentimes don't have cameras.
Okay.
But these are DPs that do a lot of work, have great work, and have experience in it as well. And so I'm sure to a lot of people at home, this is kind of a mind blown moment
Mm-hmm.
because we're so conditioned based off of the YouTube world. Again, we kind of came up through Peter McKinnon, like Matt Hipoya and Dan Gavertz and stuff, where it's almost like you're not a filmmaker unless you own a camera.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a difference between once you switch over from a solo creator and videographer into the production world, because you start to realize that there's different approaches to how projects come together and how money is spent and what you can leverage in that sense. And so I only tell this story specifically because, first of all, everyone's going to have some form of preconceived idea of like what production means and where projects come from. Okay, so I tell that story just to give you a preface that, first of all, we're going to go from an idea here to start from nothing. The only thing that I have leverage wise, I don't even want to have a camera in this situation.
Okay.
I am just me with everything that I know now, and this is how I would approach this. And so the first thing I would do is, if I was just getting back into a space, I'm trying to be in everyone's position right now too, you would spend all of your time learning the system around you. So I would always start at your local market, and I would figure out who all the production companies are, who the marketing agencies are, and follow all these people, because all these people are the ones that are currently working, hiring the people out and giving the money away, right? And then you want to get to know them, see what they're doing, understand them, understand who's getting hired and from what production companies. Sometimes the problem too is a lot of people don't understand the full sphere of like an understanding of like how money flows in production.
Totally.
And so they just expect like, oh, if I just reach out to Nike DMs, I'm going to get a job, because people tell you like, you just got to be persistent. You're persistently messaging a bot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like no one's reading that stuff. And, a lot of people also get excited for like, if you hit them up and they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to put you guys into like, if we need jobs, we got you.
Mm-hmm.
That's like an automated answer, because they get hit up so many times with that, right? And so if you don't have the right leverage points here, no one's going to hire you regardless. And so I always get reminded of that when I reach out to Lululemon. They're like, do you have a portfolio? I'm like, no, I don't even know how to make a video yet. Like sometimes you can jump the gun with that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So in the beginning, spend all your time, understand what and how things actually work first, especially if you want to get into larger commercials, documentaries, projects that have a little bit more scale. A little bit different if you're going into more of the small business market. I'm just talking more commercial and stuff right now. I would figure that stuff out, understand and make a list. And this is actually a thing that people should do that no one does, because it takes a lot of work. And if you're not doing a lot of work, then you're not getting the money. You build an Excel sheet and you start to categorize people based on what roles they have. So you have a list of all the executive producers, you have a list of all the production companies, all the agencies that are currently doing work. And then you're going to start to understand different scales and levels of that as well. So there's production companies that, smaller projects, medium, the large ones that get all the projects, and then the mix and like how things kind of flow. So you're just constantly keeping an eye on the market to understand just generally where the market is going, trends, types of shoots that are still pushing and having a lot more budget towards it. So then you can feel much more confident that there is a path forward, right? If you're just, and I say this all the time to people within the cohort that we work with, is if you're only surrounded by your local market and all you're following is the 10 other videographers around you, it goes back to that blue ocean, like red ocean thing, where like, it's good to know, cool, because like these people might be the people that you collaborate with and work with in the future. But just because you're following them doesn't mean that you guys are going for the right people or the same people. You're just kind of getting inundated with like the same stuff all the time. And so you're like, oh, this is the best it gets. It's like, no, you haven't even like scratched the surface. I think a lot of people haven't been able to even scratch the surface in terms of where do I look for good references, who do I follow. You need to be a student of the game. I think people just think that this knowledge kind of just comes to them. It's like, just because you've left school doesn't mean you stop learning. Like, you need to be every day. Who's coming up, who's doing great work, what gets them to that next level, and you need to be able to reverse engineer everything that you see around you, because you can't. No one's okay. The hard part is that no one's really coming to save you. We talk about this all the time. It's like, you need to equip yourself with the best information and the best knowledge so you can act on it when things come about. But in the meantime, you need to just know what exists out there. So a lot of people, first step, figure out what's out there on that higher scale level. Have some goals, have something to point towards. Secondly, you would just start adding everyone, and it doesn't matter, because whether you add them now or you add them 5 years from now, these are all just regular people that you might want to have conversations with. There's also people like people might be scared to message me for some reason, and it's like, I'm just a regular person that you can message and I'll likely answer you. And now if you guys send me a bunch of DMs, I don't know if I will, but it's like, the idea is that everyone is, you're one person away, and that one person could be the person that changes the trajectory of your life and how you go about projects.
Drop a comment. We
Drop a
reply to all
comment.
the comments.
Let us know. And you start to realize that if everyone's that close, no one's really that far, and you can actually get in contact with them, start to actually meet them. And the big step here is people get nervous about reaching out to people, even in DMs. Hit up everyone. You never know who might take you under their wing, give you some guidance, and actually push you forward, and see who's out there that, if anything, is going closer to your goal as well. Because if you're not a narrative person, or you're not trying to do documentaries, I wouldn't say you have to follow every single person. You're almost following the people that are 5 steps ahead of you, 2 steps ahead of you, or even 20 steps ahead of you. Because at least you can start to see some sort of pattern and growth there. And you can see what a 2 level ahead of you looks like when they level up to level 3, right? Or level 4. And then the 20 person is like, oh, they're onto the movies now. But like, that's still something that you can look forward to. And so you keep these people in your back pocket, you follow them, and you kind of start collecting more of a style and a person and a persona that you really want to become, because it gives you some direction in terms of, okay, I know I want to become this person. This is the type of work I want to do. And the more you kind of absorb this stuff through kind of like just visually seeing it, and then as you start to become really good at reverse engineering and being like, how did they do that shot? I'm going to try that. I'm going to test that. Great. That's going to be something in my back pocket down the line. The third thing now is that now that you're starting to build this local network, the biggest thing is connecting with the people, back to what I was saying earlier, that actually have the resources around you. So this is a lot easier if you're a director, and I'm going to say this as a director's, kind of vision right now. If you know how to create and write and sell a good vision, then you can technically get a DP, a cinematographer, a whole crew, whoever it is, because having a vision means that you are now creating opportunities to create something. And so if we go one step down, if you're a DP and that's the path that you're trying to go for, your whole goal is to find the people with the vision. And if you are someone that has a camera ready, or wants to grow in that space and have, you want to start to do more work in that space, it just becomes a game of, who do I know that can give me opportunities, right? And this is a very, we talk about this in the cohort all the time, but at the same time, it sounds easy, but it's kind of hard to do. And it's always like a crutch for people. It is messaging directors, if you're a DP, and chatting with them. And sometimes it's like, okay, what do I say?
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't be beside you every day, because these are just regular people. Like, just talk to them like you're a regular person. And if you guys connect, you connect. And if you don't connect, you don't connect. But there's probably a million DPs out there, and there's going to be someone out there that aligns with you and your vision and who you are very well. And as a DP or director, really, that conversation is really about like, who are you? What are you trying to do? Where are you currently? And back to the whole Rolodex of like people, it's always about knowing, oh, this person seems like the perfect match for me right now. And like, we're both in the stage. We both want to grow. We both want to do stuff together. Like when I met Zach, it was kind of like that as well, right? It's like, where are we? okay, cool. We've been kind of doing the same videography world. Same with Justin and Adrian. It's like we've all been kind of doing the same thing. Now it's a matter of like, what do we do to move up because we have the same vision and goal. And so there's less overlap of like, oh, you're already 5 years ahead of me. You probably don't want to work with me as much. You want to find the people that are gone through some of the same struggles, have the same vision, and an idea of like we all want to go to commercial right now. I kind of think of it the same as you and Charlie right now.
Mm.
Of like, we kind of both want to do cool things. And you guys went through school together, so you went through the same pain and the pain points, and you know exactly where you want to go.
Yeah.
And that's like the perfect match to kind of elevate. And even between like working with Charlie, working with Zach, it's probably right about the same. It's just more experience under your belt and the difference there,
Mm.
right? But it's not like Charlie can't do what Zach's doing in a few years or whenever he starts to build up more. Like, it's just that Zach's done more variations of that, and so he's just pulling from different places. But that's kind of the whole concept, right? It's like you need to meet more people, and if you're not meeting them, I don't really know what else to say.
Yeah, I think it's the world is a very, very different place even now since I began my journey
Yeah,
like a long, long time ago. Not as an industry, but as just genuinely someone who is a creative person
yeah,
who wanted to potentially pursue something within this industry. Back then it was incredibly difficult because the one thing that hasn't changed is this industry is all about the people you know. And if you don't know the right people, you're kind of screwed. And back then, like, how do you even know who's sure you can stay until the movie ends and watch the credits go by and be like, okay, this person was a gaffer. Okay, cool. But nowadays, all these production companies have Instagrams, all these directors have Instagrams, these producers. They're all out there now. And like you were saying, it's not like yellow pages. You don't have to go through like the phone book and
yeah, yeah,
call this random person. Like they're on social media.
yeah.
The ever since social media was introduced to this industry, it's completely changed how you can interact with the world and even how you portray yourself.
Yeah, it's given everyone that can pick up a camera a lot of leverage in the best way possible. Like, I think we came in at the right time where we can afford a camera, we can try different things, and it doesn't cost us $1 million to do that. And it's actually made it much more difficult for the people at the highest end because now you're competing with a much larger market.
Yeah.
And so it's great. This is the best thing that can happen for all of us, is that you have to remember that the people that used to do this, they still do it, but like they've been doing this for 20 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
They just have way more connects than you. And so you're losing out on purely a thing of, oh, I've shaken hands with this person before. If you don't have that same connection, it just doesn't work out, right? Like, so imagine in the easiest case scenario, would you rather go on a date with someone that you've met with and gone on a date with, or someone that's completely blind, but it's like the two same kind of like feelings, right? Like, you met the same people at the same time. One person you met in real life, one person you didn't meet in real life.
Like a blind date.
It's like a blind date.
I see.
The easiest case is that because you actually know what this person is in real life and you've met that connection, it literally is the same thing. And this is where I'm going to lead it around. It's the same thing when you meet a DP as a director, or when you meet an EP or whoever. Just being able to say, looking someone in the eye will always benefit you more, and you will be the person chosen over someone else. And sometimes people don't realize that, because every DP that I've met is way higher on any list than someone that has great work but I've never met before.
Mm.
And so that's as simple as this. So if you're not going out there, connecting with new people and meeting new people, you are a ghost to the world.
You don't exist.
You don't exist. And that's how social media is. It's like that's both sides of it, right? You could show up for a week because you're posting a lot of stuff, and then you no longer exist.
Yeah.
So as long as you know that going into it, you can have a much more stable feeling of like, how do I take control of this? And how do I actually like build a career out of this?
Mm-hmm.
So with all that said, the next step is, now with that more local market, building out work and building a reel for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm not talking about like a show reel, which is like, oh, quick cuts with all your videos together. If you have no videos, then you have no videos. So this is really about, how do I articulate my ideas in a very strong way that, whether it's through your life experiences, starting with something simple, doing technical specs, which are just more so testing your skills and working with new people, and then building that your way up into real projects, right? And so there's a lot of people that sometimes you get jobs handed to you
Yeah.
that you're almost like, I'm not ready for this. That's kind of what this whole process is right now, where you're meeting more people than you are having the technical skills. And so we like to learn all the technical skills so that when those opportunities come up, it doesn't stress you out or doesn't like add any extra pressure. You're always constantly trying new things and testing new things.
Hmm.
The cool thing about working with new people and talking to new people is that you'll be surprised how many times they give you jobs. Just the simplest fact. And sometimes they can't do jobs. Sometimes just because you have a really good, strong relationship with each other, they're like, I can't do this, but do you want to do this? You're like, cool. I wasn't expecting that. But imagine you just multiply that over and over and over. And so some of the best jobs that we've ever gone um, were from friends, the people that we worked with on really small projects, $0, $2,500, whatever it is. And that's stacked up into a $30,000 job, $60,000, $100,000 job over the years.
Hmm.
And that's just one person. And so these aren't just referrals, these are like directly the same people. And you got to imagine if you meet enough creative directors or you meet enough like art directors or people that actually have sway in the say of like where projects go, then you're just playing a multiple, like it's purely a numbers game.
Yeah. I think when I was first starting my production company and even just getting into this industry, the the classic trap that you fall into that is so easy to dig so deep in that you don't even realize how deep you are in is being way too excited and jumping the gun and going all in. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because when you first start working, it's so easy to get excited over the fact that, someone's paying you to do all this stuff, even if it's just like a little bit of money here and there. But that can easily get you into the trap of being motivated by money.
Yeah.
And not in like a, oh, you're only doing this for money. It's like, if you do that, that's fine. Like I like
It
honestly
is the
sometimes,
trap though. Yeah.
yeah, honestly sometimes like that's me too. I need money too.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is, if you want to be more than that and you want to level up in this industry, you have to be very intentional with the type of work that you're doing.
Yeah.
So don't fall into the trap of doing the work just to do the work, because eventually, if that is your only crutch, that's all you can do, and
Yeah.
you can't really pivot out of that.
Yeah. You just stay stuck forever.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing we hear is I'm doing a lot of this, whatever it is, and I want to become this person. How do I get from here to here? So I'm doing corporate jobs. I want to become a commercial cinematographer or director. You need to know where your money's coming from
Yeah.
because that has so much control over you and decisions that you make. And like you were saying earlier, if you're just constantly doing work for the sake of work, you're just burning yourself out. You need to learn how to say no. You need to know how to make pivots to do better work because you almost need to hear this over and over. You can't make 500 corporate commercials and then think that the next day, easy peasy, I'm just gonna go and do this whole cinematography stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, by 500 commercials, you have some skills.
You have
under
some
you
sort
for-
of idea of
yeah.
what to do.
But there's just a whole different world out there,
Yeah.
and by the time you get to 500, at that point, you might as well stick to what you're doing because that's probably going to be 5+ years of just doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, you're probably very strong at it. But most people are going to burn out before that. They're going to get to, I don't know, 15, 20 corporate commercials a year and be like, I can't get out of this.
Mm-hmm.
This is the biggest trap I've ever been in because someone kept telling me, just do more of that. And, you're going to be fine. The biggest number one thing you have to do is change the mindset of you're never going to make a corporate video at that scale and push it into this crazy commercial world.
Yeah.
Like a corporate video is a corporate video and it's okay. Just do that if that's what the job is paying you. But take that, pocket it, and understand that this is a money job. It's supposed to live as a money job. I'm going to take whatever money I have here. I'm going to get it done properly. No problem, right? Like I've done this so many times. Take that energy, take that time and money and put it towards something that you actually care about. And obviously the next step from that is always, what do I care about? But that's what we go into deep in the CPM course, and is a little bit too much to talk about right now. But just knowing that you need to make a intentional decision, like you said, to know when to stop
Mm-hmm.
and when to actually push forward into this new thing. Because I would say it's very easy to have money decide your whole life. Because especially if you're going full time, like you're saying, if you go full time, the first month, like I did that too. The first year I went full time, I'm like, I got this. I did not get this. I wanted to quit after first year. It was
Yeah.
brutal. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And I was like, there's no way I can make money in this. Like I am burnt out like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I like secretly you want to buy new cameras and cool stuff. It just never gives you that opportunity because you're just constantly in this hole. And so if you're in that position right now, you need to realize, okay, what do I want to do more with my life, or the types of projects, or how I want to be shown, or show up into the world. Um, because a lot of people just don't want to be called a videographer anymore, and they don't want to do videography work. And that was us, because I hated being called a videographer after a while.
Yeah.
Even when I switched over to a director, and I would hear like, "Oh yeah, Jason's a videographer." I'm like, no, no, that's
No, I'm not.
I'm a director. But then I also didn't have anything to show for it.
Yeah.
And so it becomes constantly like a iterative process to just get better. So, long-winded way to say, you do need to learn the skills, but you don't need to trap yourself in just constantly feeding money into it, right? I'd rather people save their money, whether it's from a work, part-time job, full-time job, whatever it is. Meet people that have better skills, or a little bit more experienced than you, that you can leverage the resources, whatever it is, build a great idea with a team or by yourself, and then execute on it. Because you need to be able to do that by yourself before you could do that for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're just doing it, corporate jobs because you went full time and you're like, I have no other way out, you've just kind of trapped yourself into a much longer learning period. The actual best approach for this, especially when you're starting out and you have no skills, no nothing, is to work for someone, work alongside someone, take the shitty route, right? Like, go and ask people to be like, hey, I just want to learn. I just want, you're not doing this forever. You're doing this very strategically to put yourself ahead. And when you're on set, you're there to work, but you're also there to take in everything, because you're going to learn so much faster on set, practicing, learning, being around the space, than you are thinking and learning on YouTube to figure out exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so you just need to be out there and meeting new people, because even if you're a PA, you can meet 20 new people on set, and suddenly now you have a network of 20 people that would have taken actually a lot longer to get on set for.
Yeah.
And so I really like the people that reach out to me and are like, hey, anything you want, I got you. Don't want money. I just want to show up, because that's what I did. And it's like, it is this pattern, but I'm not saying you do this forever. You do this to a point where you're taking notes, you're being very meticulous, you're seeing how people direct, seeing how people shoot, whatever path you want to go into. So then you have some form of foundation of even where to go from there. Yeah, so those are the intro beginner steps, whether it's you just starting out, or you want to start a production company, or, just want to specialize in something. It's important for you to understand all the paths, what makes sense, how to spend your time is probably the biggest one, because your time is your resource here and you don't want to waste it. So we hope you guys enjoyed this one at least, and we hope you found some value in it. If you're interested in more stuff around clients and how to find clientele, positioning, all these things. So if you're interested in learning more about how to position yourself and how to leverage yourself as a filmmaker, check out our Pitch to Pay challenge, which you can find a link in the description below. Otherwise, please follow us, subscribe, go on Spotify, Apple Music, whatever it is, and give us a follow. Send us to someone that you think might really enjoy this, or is maybe in the same position as you, because someone out there is going to become a better filmmaker through this. So hopefully you're that person sending it to them, and we really do appreciate it. So we'll check you out in the next one, and hope you enjoyed it. Peace.
Peace.